Rich, if I can for a second, paint you the picture of how we got and then had the Odell Beckham Jr. news
Please.
yesterday.
Go for it.
I had been on spring break with my kids in Orlando, did Disney World and all that good stuff. We were at the airport awaiting boarding and got a text from sources who shall remain nameless saying, check Odell's Instagram. I've had alerts on for Odell on his Instagram for about 14 months, have clicked on, I'd safely estimate 3,000 different Instagram stories. I've known basically everything going on in his life, far more than I know about anybody that I actually interact with on a daily basis. But because this was tweeted from his kid's Instagram account that's run by Odell and his partner, did not get the alert, so go there, see the photo of said child in the Lamar jersey, and then begin frantically making calls and texts while my kids are going, Dad, can we watch this on the plane? I'm like, just 1 second. Give me a second. And, within 5 minutes, of course, we had the full numbers on everything on what is a very legit deal. There was a lot of speculation about what Odell is going to command after this long of a layoff, after really playing football on a limited basis, going all the way back to 2020 when he tore the ACL for the first time. But the answer is that the Ravens stepped up $15 million, the least that he's going to make this year, most of that in the signing bonus, can earn another $3 million. I know what the incentive levels are. They're very reachable. He quite possibly will make all $18 million this season. And obviously there's a lot of other potential fallout from that and impact on the quarterback that we have to discuss. But for Odell, he's going to make a lot of money this season with a chance to go back to the market next year, having proved that he's healthy, hopefully playing like the guy he was in the Super Bowl out in L.A. when he was the best player on the field for a quarter and a half before he retore that ACL and then was out of the game in 2022.
And you could honestly, Tom, talking about a guy playing for 1 year to prove to the rest of the league that he can be healthy, you could say that's Lamar Jackson too. And he, in my mind, was no doubt the target audience for this signing of Odell Beckham Jr., and they couldn't have asked for a better way to communicate it to Lamar than to have Odell's beautiful baby dressed in his jersey and the Lamar Jackson number 8 right there on the Instagram and a Ravens hat, that this is the perfect way for the Ravens to communicate to Lamar to say, come home. And the question is, does Odell know something that we don't about Lamar coming back home to Baltimore? Is that why he signed, or it was just the Godfather offer he couldn't refuse?
Here's what I can tell you, Rich. The Ravens, from start to finish in the process, did everything that it took to get Odell Beckham Jr. Not just the contract, but the constant communication. They met out in Arizona when Odell showed up to the league meeting that was out there a couple of weeks ago. The owner, Steve Bisciotti, was among those who was communicating with Odell. They obviously stepped up in terms of the contract offer. And Lamar was also in communication with Odell. This was not a situation where Lamar gets the Twitter alerts and finds out that Odell is coming. They were talking. I think that it's fair to say that there was some recruiting going on. And I think that's where a lot got lost that same week. Might have been the same day that Odell showed up. And Lamar putting out that tweet right as John Harbaugh was about to begin speaking to the media, revealing that he had requested a trade back on March 2nd. There is no trade request when the player, at the time that he made it on March 2nd, was not even franchise tagged yet. He is not under contract. He has a non-exclusive tag. A necessity for getting a trade done will be Lamar working out a contract with the new team. And that's the same thing that he would be doing in the scenario where he signs an offer sheet as a franchise player. Meanwhile, Lamar was still actively negotiating, as our colleague Ian Rappaport reported, that same week that he put out those tweets. So this has not been a March 2nd, that was the end, even though Lamar wrote it like that was the goodbye, thank you for everything, I'll see you around the way. they were still talking. They were still negotiating. And maybe this is all part of what Lamar thinks is negotiation in his mind. But to the extent that Lamar's options are limited to either he signs an offer sheet or works out a deal, let's put it that way. He works out a contract with a new team, or he goes back to Baltimore and does a contract with them or plays on the tag. Those are really the scenarios. Obviously, there's the holdout, not around scenario, but Lamar showed up the last 2 years on a contract that no agent would have had him going out there as a former NFL MVP and playing on. He's still actively engaged and involved and talking to Odell. It's not like Lamar can call Odell a few months from now and go, hey, I'm actually going to this team. You should come. No, that's over. Lamar's going to Baltimore. Odell's going to Baltimore. Lamar was an active participant in that. So that's a long way of saying, Rich, I don't know that it is Odell knows something we don't in terms of Lamar has told him, hey, I'm getting this deal done with Baltimore. It's just look at the facts as they stand right now. Somebody could swoop in with an offer sheet after the draft. The Ravens have been doing due diligence on other quarterbacks in the draft. But unless Lamar works out an offer sheet with another team, his options are going to be either hold out, which seems unlikely, not impossible because he surprised us at many junctures in this whole thing, or go back and play in Baltimore. Now he has something that there's been a lot of discussion externally about why has Lamar never had a number one receiver. You have that now. And yes, Odell is obviously, the last few years have been a bumpy ride to say the least. But again, I go back to look at that first quarter and change in that game in the Super Bowl and watch Odell play. Watch what he was doing that entire playoffs after he joined the Rams. He looked like Odell. That's what they're betting on. They are betting on the sell with Lamar. And Lamar was part of selling Odell on coming to Baltimore, even though the Ravens have not yet sold Lamar that he's going to be back.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.